All right, that's my argument about AI. Now let's talk about the frameworks in the book and how you might actually apply them on a Monday morning. The book basically describes the why you need to focus on situations, why you need to focus on modes. It gives you the introduction to the frameworks. But I learned from the last book that I wrote that people would want very specific examples to help them. Oftentimes I had people come up to me and basically say, hey, I really like your book, but I don't see how it applies to my particular category. So this time I've written workbooks, one workbook for each of a number of categories. These are the first 10 categories that I've written workbooks for. I'll continue to write more workbooks as needed. Now they cost more than the book because they have a lot of data in them. They show you how to actually use the models to build your own strategies. But I would encourage you to make sure that you get the book and the workbook that's best for you. All right, let's go deeper around the three concepts of human context: situations, modes, and time value. We're going to talk about situations as where you show up. Mode detection, we're going to talk about as how to show up. And with time value, we're going to use that to help us assess whether or not the solution we've created is actually working in some way, shape, or form. All right, so what is a situational market? It's a common market you can target as a company and support with a solution the company will actually embrace. One of the big things that has changed since 2015 is that people can access almost anything they need instantly. That means the market is everywhere, always present. So we're going to move you off of a tried and true approach for markets of demographics and psychographics and towards something we call a when statement. So when I'm a parent executing a morning routine and I'm under pressure, that's more realistic. It's how people actually behave. Nobody wants you talking to them like they're a 35-year-old suburban woman with a household income above $80,000. They want you responding to their morning routine and their time pressure. Every time you use demographics, you're shrinking the actual size of the market, which is anyone who has a need in a particular moment. Imagine if Google had decided only academics do research and built search only for them. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? But that's the logic of traditional segmentation. Same person, Saturday afternoon, is hosting a planning meal. Sunday evening, they're transitioning from the weekend to the work week. It's the same demographic, but now you've got 3 different markets that you can go after. And those markets are actually very, very big. So here's some data from the banking workbook that I mentioned earlier. We identified 21 situations in the category and sized every one of them. Now, some of these situations are obvious. When my paycheck just hit, but rent, bills, and the credit card will eat most of it over the weekend. I estimate that that happens about 3.6 billion times per year. That's a massive market, and it's one that a lot of companies already pay attention to because it's obvious. The bigger opportunity is usually in the 6 less obvious situations. When I'm trying to figure out if this side hustle is actually making me money, there are 98 million people in the United States alone who have a side hustle right now. What are banks doing about that particular situation? And then there's a third tier. These are externally driven situations. Inflation, a war overseas, buy now, pay later, taking off. All of these things, once you start thinking about situational markets, you can respond to those macro shifts instead of waiting to see if your demographic is eventually going to catch up. Here's the same type of thinking applied to a different category, health and well-being. The obvious situations are already designed for taking a morning medication, an annual checkup reminder. The less obvious ones are where almost nothing is built. When the day ends and I realize I haven't had a real conversation with anyone. That's 19.5 billion occasions per year. That's a huge market. We can look for the triggers, the clues, the context that tells us someone has gone through an entire day without talking to another person. That wasn't detectable in the past, but it's possible today. and we can create solutions to support them. This is why you size the situations before you run a single piece of research. Frequency data tells you where the volume actually is. It turns the map into an investment tool, not just an insight deck. Look at where the highest frequency situations sit next to the weakest current response. That's where the opportunity is concentrated. And it's usually not where the obvious attention already is. And again, we do this work in the workbooks. We show you how to do this particular type of activity. Prioritization, also in the workbooks. The workbooks help you to think about different horizons, because not every situation is the same each year, and you need to be projecting forward and thinking about future situations that your customers get into. Some situations you can activate against in the next 12 to 18 months. Others take 2 or 3 years or longer to properly support. And so you need to be able to prioritize based on strategic horizons. We're not trying to just react to whatever's happening in the market. We're trying to anticipate situations that people will find themselves in down the road.